It has been 2 years since a Union County deputy found an 11-year-old boy with a dead chicken around his neck, handcuffed to a porch. He never took the stand or got an opportunity to share his story with the public about how he suffered until now. At 13, he says he has nightmares that his former foster mother, a former DSS supervisor, will kidnap him since she is out of jail. WBTV's Pamela Escobar is the only reporter to sit down with him. She is on your side with his story. Pamela?
I've been asked to protect the boy's identity. We will continue to call him Michael, hide his face, and change his voice. I spoke with him on his birthday several weeks ago and again this week. For his birthday, he was showered with gifts and celebrated with family. It was a stark difference from the boy found outdoors wearing a t-shirt on a cold day nearly 2 years ago.
This Union County home on Austin Road is where Michael lived with an ER nurse, Dorian Harper, and a DSS supervisor, Wanda Sue Larson. Michael remembers when he was discovered shivering on a porch with a dead chicken around his neck in November 2013.
When you saw the police come that day, what did you think?
Well, I got really nervous and happy. Then he came up to the porch and well, I don't know what he said at first, but he said he saw the handcuffs. He said, "Why are you handcuffed to the porch?" And I said, "Because they didn't want me to run away." And then I knew they wouldn't believe it, which they didn't. So they asked where the parents were, and I said, "They're inside."
Court records showed Dorian Harper released several dogs on the deputy, and the deputy called for backup.
The house, we had a lot of dogs, so upstairs there was a lot of fleas in the room, and it was dirty, and sometimes there'd be holes in the wall from where Dorian or Wanda Sue would try to hit me and miss. They were just hurting me, and that's wrong, hurting children.
At Dorian Harper's sentencing, prosecutors described the hurting as torture.
A lot of times I would bleed. Sometimes they wouldn't clean it up. Sometimes they didn't care. They just leave it bleeding. Sometimes Dorian, he'd stitch it up. Like I was bleeding. I got holes in my head different times. And like she either stitch it up or use medical staples.
Harper's guilty plea was for 6 felonies and 1 misdemeanor, including child abuse, assault with a deadly weapon, and maiming without malice. But his plea deal only gave him time in prison for 3 felonies, a maximum of 10.5 years. Wanda Sue Larson pleaded guilty to 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanor counts, including child abuse and willful failure to discharge duty. She apologized for not protecting the kids and was out in 16.5 months. Michael says when he wasn't beaten, he was handcuffed.
They had a railroad tie, and it had a hole in it, and they had a chain, like just a chain and a lock, and they had handcuffs either on my hands or my legs. They had a lock on the outside of the door of the room I was in. They locked that. They had the keys, so I was locked in. I couldn't get out.
Prosecutors said the children had no beds in their rooms. Michael says sometimes he couldn't sleep because he was worried Harper would hurt him in the middle of the night. Now he has his own room and his own bed.
I keep on thinking that your life must be so different now.
It is. I like my life now. It's better than it was in the past. Well, I have a bed I can sleep on now. Now I can see my mom every weekend.
Michael now lives with his mom full-time and has therapy 2 times a week. There's still a DSS hearing about whether that arrangement will become permanent tonight at 11. See the video when he learned earlier this month that he would no longer be bouncing around foster homes. Also, I did try to track down Wanda Sue Larson for comment, but was not able to find her.
You know, I want you to point out, because as we were talking during this story, it's so chilling, but he really wanted his story told.
That's absolutely right. I spoke to his mom before Wanda Sue Larson was released from the jail. jail, and at that time she was telling me that he wanted to speak, but we wanted to take it slowly. We wanted to make sure he was absolutely sure. He was talking to his therapist about it. We just didn't want to rush into this. We also, it should be noted that we did do this interview weeks ago, and we waited just in case he wanted to back out or wasn't sure. So,
and I respect that about you, and I will be looking forward to tonight's report. We're glad he's safe tonight.
All new at 11 o'clock now, and On Your Side exclusive. A boy found handcuffed to a porch with a dead chicken around his neck, a story all of us have been talking about for years. Wants to tell you his story. He is 13 years old. He says he never had a chance to tell a judge what happened. He's adamant he wants his abusers to stay behind bars, though one is already out. Dorian Harper, an ER nurse, and Wanda Sue Larson, a DSS supervisor, pleaded guilty. Harper admitted guilt to 6 felonies and 1 misdemeanor, including child abuse and maiming. He received 6 to 10.5 years in prison. Now, Larson pleaded guilty to 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors, including child abuse and willful failure to discharge duty. She was released for time served after 16.5 months in jail. The boy, who we're calling Michael, sat down with WBTV's Pamela Escobar to talk about how his life has changed since being rescued and what he would have shown a judge if given the chance. Pam's live, and Pam, you've been talking with this child for weeks.
yeah, Molly, he was nervous when we first sat down for the interview, but for months he asked his mom to do it. We've covered his face and disguised his voice to protect him, and because he asked. Michael lived with Harper and Larson for 9 years, and he's still in the DSS system. Some of the court photos you're about to see are graphic.
Wanda Sue Larson is free on probation after being released from the Union County Jail.
I want Wanda Sue to be in jail longer.
Dorian Harper is in Caledonia State Prison in Halifax, North Carolina.
Well, I was kind of sad because he was a good parent sometimes, and he had a lot of days in jail. I mean, a lot of months in jail.
Michael has also done a lot of time in DSS custody and was elated to find out a few weeks ago he didn't have to go back to his foster home. Michael asked that we protect his identity by hiding his face and deepening his voice. He is 13 years old, but appears much younger. Prosecutors during Dorian Harper's sentencing said Michael was malnourished and was tortured. He showed one of his scars.
He found a needle and by the chicken, and the chicken, his eyes were like, he couldn't open the eye, and he found the chicken bleeding too, and so he supposedly thought that I put the needle in the chicken's eye and just put the medicine in there. So he came in and he had the needle, and he did that to right here where the scar is, and he did that. Then he put salt on it. Well, first he put water on it, then he put salt on it, and to make it start stinging a lot. And it stung a lot and it hurt. He made me bleed.
He says he doesn't need to look at the physical scars to get scared.
I had a nightmare that Wanda Sue came and took me, and I wasn't able to ever find my parents again.
He says he sleeps better in his own room versus the floor and dirty blankets at Larson and Harper's home.
Like, he'd make me scrub the floors with washcloth and the walls, sometimes the walls. Then he'd make me stay up for the rest of the night.
Prosecutors say Harper was responsible for most of the abuse, but Michael wishes he could have told the judge about Larson.
She abused me too, and she knew that Dorian was abusing me too, but she didn't stop it. She just add on to it.
He's in therapy, and it's twice a week.
Sometimes I talk about stuff that they did to me, like now sometimes, and it makes me feel better, and that's why I feel better now.
Why did you want to talk to me?
Because I really want her to go to jail, and I want to do whatever it takes to get her back in jail, because she deserves to be in jail for a long time. And I just wanted to get some of the things that happened out of my mind.
He says what helps is being with family.
Now I finally get to be back with my mom. And it was a long time that I had to wait until I could come back.
And his family says they continue to wait for justice. Pamela Escobar, WBTV on your side.
Michael's biological mother, who you heard him say he now lives with, says his therapist is aware he talked with Pam and is telling this story publicly tonight. Also, being that Wanda Sue Larson is out of prison, WBTV tried to track her down for comment. We were unable to find her. We have continuing coverage of this story on our website, WBTV.com. That is where you can hear more of this difficult interview with Michael. We've posted it all underneath the story.